Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 39 locations throughout the metropolitan area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The New Orleans Saints get it started early this week on a Thursday night special at Charlotte against Carolina, a team they edged earlier this year in a thriller in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Both teams coming off of crushing losses. So to me, this one comes down to who responds better mentally than the other in terms of who wins.
I'll look at a couple of things here. We've heard Sean Payton say time and time again, the more desperate team wins games. So is he putting a little desperation in his locker room this week? That is one thing. The second thing is this, and you brought up the ability to bounce back after tough losses on Sunday. And look, you could argue that the Carolina loss was a little bit harder to take, as hard as the Saints loss has been to take locally, because they feel like there were other factors involved rather than just losing to a team. Carolina gave that game away against Kansas City in the fourth quarter on Sunday. But one thing you look at in recent history here, Sean Payton has become a master of adjustment in his coaching career. He wasn't doing particularly well around bye weeks, changed his schedule, started figuring some things out there. You look at what's happened now on Thursday nights. Didn't do so well early on, but they've won the last 3 years on Thursday night. He's figuring some things out along the way in terms of what he needs to do in terms of more mental preparation and more walkthroughs and less practice and the things you've got to do to get your team ready and getting his players to buy into that concept. Can he make it 4 in a row? I think they've got a great shot at it. This could be a Carolina team. One of two things I think is going to happen with Carolina. They're either going to come out and play a very good football game or they're going south very quickly.
I think a lot depends on how the game unfolds early. If the Saints get up early, play well early, I think Carolina could go south. But if Carolina gets its dauber up at home, they're really good. Saints haven't swept them since 2011. Should be interesting. And our best wishes to Michael Maudie and recovery from his difficulty. And he's missed, and he's a very fine young man and a really good family. So the Saints and the Panthers Thursday night. Also Thursday night, the high school football playoffs get underway because a bunch of games in northeast Louisiana got moved to Thursday night from Friday because of a 90% chance of thunderstorms Friday evening. So I think it was the right move to allow teams to play under ideal conditions and to allow their fans to show up and watch the games.
No question about it. It's going to mean for some quick travel turnaround, especially for some teams in this area. Riverside and Kentwood have to head up that way to play second-round games as higher seeds, just the way the bracket falls because of some first-round upsets. And, of course, we detail all of the high school playoffs in our special playoff edition of our video preview, so check that out as well here at SportsNOLA.com.
We'll have Brother Martin and Catholic High Friday night at 7 as part of Ken Trahan's original prep football report on WGSO, 990 AM, and the original network statewide, so you can listen into that while you're still getting all the scores from Matt Sims and Manny Peppas via SportsNOLA.com. That's Friday night beginning at 6:05 with the Countdown Show with Ro Brown and Rick Gailey. And stay tuned all night long and keep your app to SportsNOLA.com to get all the scores as you listen into what should be a really good football game between those two.
It should be a good game. And by the way, we will also have another game for you here at SportsNOLA.com. Stay tuned, details to come on that.
Look forward to that. So it's a great weekend of high school football as well. As for Tulane, they've got Temple at senior day, trying to end that 5-game losing streak. They played, I thought, inspired football at Houston a week ago, very competitive, didn't hold anything in the bag, pulled out all the stops. Ultimately, what got them was a fumble punt for a touchdown. If you go back and look at the game, that really destroyed their chances of pulling the upset.
Yeah, it got them behind early, and Houston used some early momentum, build that lead. Pretty much after the first 6-7 minutes of the game, it was an evenly played football game. It's senior day, last chance for a lot of these guys to play at home. And oh, by the way, we want to see you go out there and support the local team. But if not, you can watch it. WHNO TV 20 Saturday at 2:30.
There you go. Should do it. As for LSU, the Tigers have a big test with the nationally ranked team in Florida that's playing for an SEC East title, and that's big. And there's really going to be some pretty interesting exchanges out there because these two teams right about now don't like each other, and the two schools don't like each other. And I think that's going to be manifest on the field. I expect this to be a very spirited contest.
Well, I think the bad guy, if you will, in all of this, two bad guys. One was Greg Sankey, and that he didn't step up and make a decision a month ago to make this game be played that weekend. But two, it seemed like Jeremy Foley was really driving the boat on this thing. And he's now gone. Scott Strickland has replaced him as the athletic director. I guess Scott becomes the first AD to bring two different teams into Tiger Stadium in the same year. My former replacement at Tulane once upon a time, by the way. So It will be interesting to see how it plays out. Both of these teams within their locker rooms are going to use what happened 6 weeks ago as motivation in some way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, both of these teams have a lot to play for. Florida for that spot in the championship game, which they could get anyway. They could back into it, win or lose. But LSU, win Saturday, win Thanksgiving night at A&M, and I think more likely than not, they are headed to the All-State Sugar Bowl.
The New Orleans Pelicans, well, the good news there is it looks like Drew Holiday is about to return and play Friday, and that's really important. Now, you can't expect him to play big minutes. You can't expect him to be sharp as tacks. There's going to be some rust. There's got to be some getting in shape. And the good news is, obviously, things are improved on the home front where Lauren is concerned for him to be able to come back and play for the team. But certainly it's got to help the Pelicans.
It does. It gives you another player out there. It gives you, if you figure that Davis, Holiday, and Evans are your three best players. You've played this entire season with only one of those three up until now. And getting Holiday back, it's going to be interesting to see. They've got a Friday, Saturday home back-to-back. Portland Friday, Charlotte Saturday. Does he play both games? Do they limit his minutes in both games? That's kind of a tough way to work your way back into things. And we'll find out, I guess, soon enough how Alvin Gentry chooses to play that.
And I'd be remiss not to mention Zephyr's name change, and obviously that's opinion. That's for everyone else to decide. It's all about the consumer and what the consumer buys. I'm not a fan of the name personally. I know you're not either. That said, we're obviously fair-minded and wish them nothing but success and that it goes over well. There are some good-looking logos and such, but as for the name, lost me.
I totally agree. I like some of the logos. I like some of the word marks. The name, though, is what's going to resonate out there, and that's where I have the problem. There were alternatives to use to accomplish the same thing, and that didn't come into play, obviously.
Success anyway. Ken, Lenny, hope you enjoyed it. Lenny, have a good weekend.
We'll see you Monday.
And that's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 39 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.